Let me start over. Good morning and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Mary Jo Williams. I am one of the business advisors at the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center. I will be your moderator for today's session. Our presenter today is Mr. Ted Gutierrez. Ted Gutierrez is the State Director for the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, and he will be bringing some information to you in reference to the Small Business Innovation Grant. We ask that you put your questions in the chat or raise your hand, and we will call on you as Mr. Gutierrez is ready to take your questions. Okay, and with that, I turn control of the mic over to State Director Ted Gutierrez. Ted, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mary Jo. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you taking the time to attend this webinar. This is not just any ordinary Webinar Wednesday. This is something that we are very, very, very proud to be associated with, as this recent Small Business Innovation Grant 2022 is historic in the fact that it's never been offered before. Any type of assistance has never been offered to private small businesses here in the territory, and we're super thankful that we got a chance to be part of this in partnering with Governor Brian Jr.'s office to help extend this to everybody in the territory who met the criteria and were able to effectively submit an application that to either get awarded or perhaps set themselves up next time for the next potential opportunity down the line. So once again, my name is Ted Gutierrez. I have a couple of ground items that I want to discuss before we dive too deep into this. There is a full YouTube video on our YouTube channel, visbdc.org, that goes more in depth into the particular presentation that I'm going to discuss today. I'm only going to be able to discuss the SBDC process and involvement during this. I cannot speak to anything from the governor's office, but any questions that we get, I will definitely forward on to the governor's office. I'm not going to discuss any individual application. Obviously, anybody who's ever dealt with the SBDC knows that client confidentiality is our #1 goal here. Not only are we bound by ethics, but we're bound by law with the federal government and SBA and our agreement to administer this program. So I will not discuss individual applications. And then finally, all the decisions for this particular grant have been made. There is no appeals. There are no reconsiderations for this grant. It's done. What's done is done. And the only advice, once again, that I can give is that if you do not receive this grant, please feel free to utilize one of the many resources here in the territory to set yourself up, your business up, so that you can be prepared for the next grant and get your business ready. One of the many, obviously, resources here is, of course, SBDC. We have partners like EDA, SCORE, obviously RT Park, UVI. So those are just some of the partners that we have here in the territory. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen and give a quick overview of the process. And really, I'm going to speak more of the folks who did not receive this grant, so that there's some more clarity on that. But once again, if you have an opportunity, visit our YouTube page, and the full presentation is about 33 minutes. Okay, so give me 1 second here. Let me, let's see, doesn't seem that I can share my screen. Here it is. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Okay, can everybody see my ugly mug here on the screen? Okay, yeah. All right. Is it the full or is it the partial? Karen, can you tell me if it's the full?
It's the full.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so once again, today's date, October 5th. We're really proud and honored to be part of this with the office of Governor Albert Bryan Jr. I'm not going to go over this. This is what I want to start with, is the application review process. So the SBDC received almost 1,000 applications, and that's both in person and in email. Originally, when we started the grant, we were confirming that we received the emails in an email form, but as more and more emails came in, we did not have the capacity to respond to everybody that we received the applications. We're a small team of 7 people throughout St. Thomas, St. Croix. So we were able to reach out to some folks as best as possible and let them know that we received their application. And then during the first probably 3 weeks of the process, we were reaching out to folks who had an email or a telephone that worked, letting them know that they were perhaps missing a document or two, because we wanted to make sure that as far as our capacity goes, we reached out to people to let them know if they were missing 1 or 2 things. But once again, as more and more applications come in, we simply weren't able to keep up with all the applications coming in. The process is the original staff, they organized and they prepared all the documents for review. Okay, there were 2 separate reviews. I reviewed all the applications so that they met the eligibility guidelines. And once again, those eligibility guidelines were currently registered with Lieutenant Governor's office, currently licensed by whichever licensing body it needed to be licensed. They were in business at least 6 months, and they were able to provide some sort of profit and loss or income statement. So those were, of course, I believe less than 100 employees. Any online businesses, for example, if I have a marketing business that was online, they had to provide proof of bank statements to show that they're actually here in the territory and they're doing business here in the territory as well. So like I mentioned shortly ago, we did try to email the first round of applicants who submitted an incomplete application and asked for documents. Once the first round was completed, then of course there was an unexpected extension of the process. We extended it to 10 more days. And then once we received all total applications, we were able to review them, and they were divided into 2 categories. One being eligible, meaning they met those 6 bullet points, or B, not eligible, meaning that their applications were incomplete or did not meet those eligible categories. From there, the committee that was selected by the SBDC comprised of independent business owners, nonprofits, and of course SBDC, the university, were brought together, and they reviewed the first group of eligible applicants. And when they reviewed the narrative part. Remember, there were 3 questions. 1, what have you done? 2, what are you going to do? And 3, how is this innovation going to help create sustainability and resiliency for your business going forward? The whole idea of this application, of the innovation grant, was to get businesses thinking of, what am I doing now? And do I have the ability to meet any potential changes that are coming up, right? Who knows when our next hurricane is going to be? Who knows when the next pandemic is going to be? What other type of business disruption is lurking down the line? And how can a business be able to pivot or be sustainable so they can meet that ever-changing criteria? Okay. Now, going more in depth into the non-eligible applications, these were the ones that were reviewed by myself and did not have the eligibility requirement. Once again, there's a myriad of different reasons why they were not eligible. Is they did not include current registration from Lieutenant Governor's office. They did not include current licensure from whatever agency that they need to be licensed from. They did not include for the financial information that we specifically asked for, proof of business being in 2022. A lot of businesses submitted their tax returns, which that was never an ask. We never asked for tax returns because that doesn't show that a business is in business in 2022. That just shows that there was business conducted in 2021. They were a new business, obviously operating within 6 months. They had to be in business more than 6 months. There were not a lot of signatures that were not on the application. Without a signature, the application is not validated. Anytime you submit an application or a grant application, if it's not signed, it's incomplete. So these are just the majority of things that people submitted to us that made the application ineligible. And quite honestly, there were many applications that didn't include any of this, which was surprising, not even the actual application. That automatically disqualified people. And once again, we tried to reach out to the first round of group folks who applied. If they had, number one, a working email, or number two, a working telephone number, which we found that many of them were bounced back their emails, or their mailbox was full, couldn't leave a message, etc. Real quick, eligible applications, they answered the narratives. The committee reviewed the essay answers, and there was no right or wrong answers to the narrative question. Emphasis was placed on question number 2. How are you or your business going to use the money? And there's a typo, I know, there, and used, if awarded the grant. And we asked for detailed information, including estimates for equipment, services, and projects. We found that a lot of the applications who were eligible, once it got into the review section, there was no detailed information. There was a real basic, simple answer like, I need to purchase a new refrigerator. And that was it. There was no estimates. There was no explanation of why you needed new furniture, what type of innovation the new furniture, the new refrigerator had to do with innovation. There was none of that. A lot of it was just short and simple. I need a new taxi. That's it. I need to purchase, well, we'll get into the specifics later. But many of the applications that were eligible but did not receive a grant, simply their narrative questions were not sufficiently answered, or the detailed information was not included. I'm not going to go through this. You can watch the YouTube video. Oh, I'm sorry. So the breakdown of the award recipients. Karen, if you don't mind looking that up for me, and I can have that by the end of this. I published it, I believe, or it was published. So Karen, if you can look up the total number from St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, you'll find that it was pretty broken out evenly. St. Thomas had about, I believe, 25 more approved applications than St. Croix, and St. John, we definitely did make sure that we had some good applications from St. John, and we feel that the grants that were awarded were pretty evenly spread out through the territory. So we were really proud of the committee that they were able to do that. Once again, I'm going to talk a little bit about eligible applicants not receiving the grant. And you're going to see the whole no innovation, okay, on this particular slide. So that kind of speaks into incomplete answers, right? No explanation, no reasoning. I'm going to use the money to purchase a vehicle, and that's it, right? It's not like we're going to use the money to purchase a vehicle because it's going to be electric, or it's going to have the ability to potentially serve the handicapped or the disabled people in the territory, or it's going to allow me more capacity. Whatever the explanation it was or could have been, it simply was not there. Once again, going back to answering the questions, it was a matter of very simple, short answers. One of the things that I noticed, and I mentioned this in the previous presentation, is that there were some businesses out there that were submitting applications on behalf of other small businesses in the territory. And what we found is with a lot of those applications, they were the same application with the same answers, just the name switched out. So many of those did not receive the grant, unfortunately. And during this whole process, I encouraged people to fill out the grant yourself and not rely on anyone else to fill the grant out for you. So some of the ineligible expenses were not innovative ideas. They were more of normal operating expenses or normal capital equipment expenses, construction, renovation costs, finishing projects. We did award some folks who were doing some of these projects, but they had explanations, or they explained what it is that is innovative about their project, or what it's going to do for them in the future. And they provided explanation, they provided quotes, they provided details about it. Many others simply said, well, I'm going to put a deck on my restaurant, and that was it. So all of that served into the the committee's thoughts about who's going to receive the grant. We received a lot of requests for the money. They're going to repair vehicles, particularly with a lot of the taxis, repair vehicles. They're going to repair equipment. They're going to repair some of the buildings. They're going to pay themselves for utilizing their own money to help carry the business through the last 2 years. They were going to pay lease, or they were going to use rent. They were going to use traditional advertising for their business. They were going to hire employees. And once again, none of these is innovative. It's just the normal operating processes that a business typically has. Staff training development. There were a lot of requests to go to conferences for these business owners. Well, that's not innovative to go to a conference. Many folks were going to hire interns and essentially pay the interns to work for their business. While I encourage and applaud those companies that want to utilize the interns, and I urge them to continue to do so, that's simply not an innovative strategy to pay for interns. Once again, travel to conferences, utilizing this money for payroll, utilizing this money as working capital. Once again, I'm gonna discuss new vehicles. We got a lot of applications for some Cadillac Escalades. Although I didn't get any applications for Teslas, but I did get some, or we did get some applications for electric vehicles, but not specifically a Tesla. Taxi medallions. All right, so here's a great example. We have a lot of taxi drivers request the money to purchase medallions. Well, just because you got the money doesn't necessarily mean that whoever owns the medallion is going to sell it to you. However, if there was, and I'm just throwing this out there hypothetically, if there was a taxi driver who submitted an application with a letter saying, hey, you know, this person who owns this taxi medallion is going to sell it to me, and it might be signed, and there was some sort of a tentative agreement, that would have definitely been sufficient enough to say, hey, look, this is something that we can do to help push this small business forward. Inventory was another big no-no for the innovation grant. That's not innovative. Buying inventory. I'm going to purchase inventory at these prices for today, and then keep my prices low until I go through this inventory. That's not innovative. So these are a lot of the reasons folks submitted their grant that were eligible who did not receive the grant. These were some innovative strategies: website, online presence, creation of a mobile app, expansion to delivery of goods, incorporating energy saving strategies, enhancing customer experience using technology. There were some restaurants out there that were going to provide some tablets to put on their table so they can order directly from the table to the kitchen and kind of bypass the whole waiting for a waiter or waitress to come to you. I mentioned earlier about customers with disabilities. We had a couple of great applications that were awarded money that they're going to purchase. For example, I believe a vehicle that's going to allow with the lift to add customers with disabilities to utilize their service. Replacing gas-powered tools with electric tools. There were a couple of landscaping businesses out there that was their innovative strategy, is I'm going to get rid of all of my gas-powered tools and I'm going to switch over to electric. So those are some of the things that the committee was looking for. And once again, we didn't define innovative for the particular business. It was more of, you tell us what's going to be innovative for your particular business. Once again, this is on the webinar that's on YouTube. You can go back and look for that. But this is what I want to emphasize. If you did not receive a grant, this is how you can prepare for the next opportunity. Make sure to follow the instructions to the T. SBDC has applied for several grants over the year with the federal government, and we've been denied grants. Why? Sometimes we did not follow the instructions. We omitted a particular release, or something as simple as I didn't sign off on it, or the previous director didn't sign off on it. Those are just things that are super important. So make sure that the next opportunity comes available, you follow the instructions to the T. Once again, submit your own application. Don't rely on your accountant or another business to submit your application for you. You have to review it. It's your business. Take control of your business and make sure that you understand everything. I've had so many businesses come in, they had no idea what a profit and loss statement was, which is disheartening. The fact that if they're in business, you should know where you stand for the most part at almost all times in your business, right? Keep accurate records. We got so many records that were turned in that were receipts or ineligible, couldn't understand those. Elaborate as much as possible on your answers. Once again, in the grant, we put on there, now is your chance with these narrative questions to fight for your grant. Plead your case to explain how you're going to utilize this innovation to help further your business. Provide all required documents. Don't provide any unnecessary information documents. That just clogs up your application. Once again, the biggest thing that we saw was tax returns, which of course, we shredded all the financial documents to all the applications. So once the application was completed and determined eligible or ineligible, we shredded all of the financials. Review the application one more time before submitting it. And then of course, there were probably 4 or 5 webinars prior to the prior to the end of the grant period. We explained a lot of things. We urged people to review these, to attend webinars. And quite honestly, many folks did not. So we urge you to attend all the webinars related to the grants. Seek qualified resources for assistance, right? Of course, I mentioned SBDC, SCORE, which is now in the territory. These resources are here to help you put your business in the best potential position for sustainability and growth. And of course, I'm going to end this presentation with our contact information, right? Where can I find out more information? You can find us on the 4 major socials, download our app. There's never an excuse to say there's not enough resources here in the territory to help my small businesses. Yes, we know that access to capital is a challenge here, but in terms of ideas, guidance, advisement, there's no shortage of resources here in the territory. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing, okay? And now at this point, what I'm going to ask Ms. Williams is to go ahead and either read the questions that we have in the comments, or B, once again, if you have a question, you can raise your hand and Ms. Williams will unmute you and feel free to ask a question. So Mary Jo, it's up to you where you want to start.
All righty, let me see. I do have a hand that's raised. Chris Christensen. Let me unmute you.
Yes, Mr. Christian.
Yes, hey, good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good day. Thank you for doing the webinar for us to get some information. My question was for those of us who got rejected as a business owner. We would like to know the reason that we failed so that we can at least learn from our mistakes. Is there a way to email you guys to find out what was our specific reason for not making the cut?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to email us. You have our information on there, and we're going to try as best as possible to obviously get in, ideally to be a person with you, and go over your application and see kind of how you can position yourself better. But it's not an opportunity to argue that your grant was innovative and you should have been awarded the grant. That's not what this is for, because once again, per my previous comments, all decisions are final, and they're just pending actual disbursement of funds. But yes, by all means, please reach out to us, make an appointment, become a client of the SBDC if you have not done so in the past. Utilize us, right? We've been in the territory for 37 years. We have a wealth of knowledge. And of course, if we don't have the answer, we have partners that do, right? We have SCORE, I mentioned EDA, RT Park, UVI. So please, Mr. Christian, by all means, reach out to us, set an appointment, and we can go over specifically how you can better position your business going forward. Great question.
Thanks.
Okay. Next question is, which entity can you contact to get certified as Women Certified, WSOB or MWOSB?
Mary Jo, why don't you take that question?
Okay. For You can be certified on the SBA website
Oh,
at,
hold on, stop, time out. Come to the SBDC, that's your answer. Come to the SBDC, we'll help you get those certifications.
There you go.
It's the easiest, most simple thing to do. Make an appointment, come to the SBDC. We also have a very new partner in the territory, which is the Virgin Islands Procurement Technical Assistance Program. This program is specifically designed to help small businesses learn
there you go.
and get in the process to win government contracts, both locally and federally. The caveat to success with the PTAC program is you have to be an established business within the territory prior to going over to PTAC and having any type of opportunity or chance to win a government contract. Government contracts are not awarded to new businesses typically. They look for seasoned businesses. But a short answer to your question, sorry, Major, I didn't mean to interrupt. Come to the SBDC, we'll help you and guide you and direct you to whatever certifications are going to potentially benefit your business. So.
Okay. All right. And I'm not, well, I'll just go ahead and repeat the questions that have been answered, because if somebody came in late, they wouldn't see the answers in the chat.
Well, if they came in late, they can also view this webinar on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
So if we discuss them, they can go over to our YouTube channel and watch this presentation, or watch any of the previous 4 or 5 presentations we've done up to this point. So,
Okay.
yeah. So what new questions do we have, or what other questions? I don't see any hands up too much. You can't let me off the hook this easy. Come on.
Okay, another question. When will grant funds be dispersed?
That's a great question. We're currently just waiting on a final step from the governor's office, and EDA is prepared to make the disbursements. We're just waiting on some final T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted. Once again, this money is federal money that was awarded to the territory, and with that, those funds, it's not a simple process. So there's a lot of steps that are required prior to disbursement. So we're just waiting on if you're a baseball fan, which congratulations to the Yankees, Aaron Judge. He just set the American League home run record for 62 last night. If you're a baseball fan, we're rounding third and we're coming home. So hopefully those will get dispersed pretty soon. So.
Okay, our business was notified that we were awarded a grant. When can we expect to be contacted to disclose the grant amount?
Oh, if you don't know the grant amount, we published it at the Daily News. We published an article congratulating all the winners. VI Consortium leaked the winners without our approval online. So you can find out on the VI Consortium Facebook page as well. That has a list of all the winners and the amounts. Once again, we were going to purchase an advertisement congratulating all the winners through the VI Consortium. However, once again, they leaked the information ahead of time, but you can find the information there, or simply call or email SBDC and we can disclose the amount to you. But the amounts are public and they're out there. I will say this though, unfortunately, I've had a few calls from recipients of the grant. They're really disheartened by the lack of support that they receive from other business owners. I had one business owner call me crying in tears, stating that they received so much hate from other business owners in the territory, asking them, who do you know? Who did you, who are you associate with to get this grant? And I will say that's very disappointing, because once again, the purpose of the SBDC being involved is because we have a history and a track record, and quite honestly, by law, we have to be totally transparent and objective in how we do the things that we do. So to hear that there's not support from other business owners for those who awarded the grant, it's pretty disappointing. And I would think that, going forward, hopefully we can support each other better as a community when opportunities like these come across. So I know I kind of went on a little bit, jumped on a soapbox, but I did want to mention that. So,
what are the guidelines for reporting?
So with that, you actually have to speak with your accountant. Now, as far as the ARPA grants reporting, for us, we just have to disclose how the grant was utilized for this particular bucket of money, and which we already have, obviously, through the innovation grant, and we disclosed all those who were awarded. So for this particular slice of the pie, it was pretty simple. The money was put aside. The grant was the money was utilized for this grant, and the awards were amounted, and we reported the amounts, and everything is been reported for this particular bucket of money.
Okay, we'll take a question from Miss Rashida Francis.
Yes, good
Ms.
morning.
Francis. Yes,
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Miss Francis?
I'm fine. Okay, so I'll just ask my questions and then mute myself to hear the answers.
Yes, ma'am.
So my questions are for those who were awarded. I've listened to all the webinars that were previously recorded, and little has been said about the how did the determination come about for the actual amount that was awarded, particularly for those who may have asked for a higher amount and received significantly less. How was that determined? Because the way it was explained is that you were awarded. There was no nothing stating in the application that, you know, you reserve the right to decrease a budget or anything like that. And number two, will you be providing any type of technical assistance to those who were awarded and got a reduction in their budget to either revise their budget or how they should report on what they received? The third question I have is, are you going to provide a template checklist of any sort to those who are awarded as to how they are to report back to you what they did with the funds, instead of allowing everyone to just return back what they think, and then there's a issue, the potential for issues on the back end? Thank you for allowing me to ask my questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, great questions. I'm gonna start with the easy one, the home run question. Will we provide technical assistance for awardees? Absolutely. That's what we're here for. We're here to help from the inception of your business all the way to exit strategy and everything in between, right? How can you effectively plan to use this money? For sure. Reach out to SBDC, make an appointment, come in, work with our advisors, our tremendous staff, and we can help you plan how to effectively utilize your budget. The first question, how was the determination for that amount? So if you've seen the other videos, you know I'm going to say the answer. We said awards can be up to $50,000. So we never specifically mentioned that each award is going to be $50,000. If that were the case, there would have only been, I believe, well, I don't know, just do the math, however much was given divided by $50,000, there certainly would not have been as many businesses here in the territory receiving awards if all of them were for $50,000. So based on the overall amount of money available, which the cap was $50,000, and depending on what was submitted for the budget, the committee was able to allocate or determine what's going to be the award money for this particular business. And I'll give you an example. So let's say Ted's Repair Shop, right? I have a mechanics repair shop, and I applied for $50,000 like everybody else. And I said, okay, I need to buy some tools because my tools are old. I need to buy some new drills, et cetera, et cetera. But in addition, I'm going to purchase some software that's going to help me diagnose some of the newer cars. It's going to allow me to work on some newer cars, help my business grow. And I provided support stating that the software and the computers for this new software is going to be $25,000. Okay, so what the committee did was they awarded that $25,000 directly for the innovative portion of their application. So instead of getting $50,000 for everything that they wanted to do, Ted's mechanic shop is only going to get the $25,000, but that's going towards the software and the program and the computer that's going to help me diagnose some of the newer cars and work on some of the newer cars. So that's kind of an overall example of how the committee was able to determine who got what.
Yeah, he's gonna be okay.
Please mute yourself. And then the third question is provide a template or checklist. So
No, I got
Please
it.
mute yourself, Ms. Isaac.
I got it. I muted it. So the third question, Ms. Francis, about providing a template or checklist. We're going to work with the governor's office to see specifically what they want a year from now. But as of this point, there's no formal checklist for what they're looking for. They want to just hear success stories, as far as I know, of how you utilize the grant and how helpful this was to your business, and specifically how you did use the grant. So a year from now, Ted's mechanic shop, I'm going to submit whatever's going to be requested at the time to the governor's office, saying, hey, this is great. With that money, we were able to purchase the software. We were able to purchase the computer equipment to help diagnose new cars. And since then, we've been able to increase, I don't know, and I'm going to throw this out there, increase our revenue by $125,000 over the last year because we're able to work on some of these newer cars. So hopefully that answered your three questions. And once again, each application was different, right? And as a business owner, it's easy to say, well, my business is more innovative than this person who got the funds. Well, you don't know what their application looked like, right? So you can't say that. You have to say, okay, well, obviously they must have submitted an application that was able to show the innovation for their particular business or industry. So great three questions, Ms. Francis. Mary Jo?
Okay, we have a question for Walter, from Walter Petruska. His hand is raised.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us today. When should we expect to receive the check?
So I mentioned that earlier, Mr. Petruska. We're working with the governor's office to get a final couple of things squared away in terms of dispersing the funds. EDA has done a tremendous job of getting themselves ready to disperse the checks. So our fingers crossed, we're hoping it's going to be hopefully soon now in October.
Can Small Business Association help by securing permits with the Park Service?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
One of the things we're using our grant for is tours in St. John and the Park Service. Can Small Business Association help with securing permits with the Park Service?
Well, so that's not necessarily, well, so clarification, we're not SBA, Small Business Administration, we're SBDC, which are two totally separate agencies. And this grant had nothing to do with SBA. It was strictly through the governor's office. As far as SBDC can help work with you and your business, we can sit down and work with you to kind of help navigate the process for permits and whatnot. But we specifically cannot do the work for the particular business. We can only kind of assist with the resources that we have to help you. Any specific business you're doing with the natural park or DPNR, that actually has to be done through the business in and of itself.
But that's currently what we're doing, and having a few roadblocks as normal with a lot of things here. But yeah, I appreciate it. That's what we got our grant for, and we're looking forward to it.
Oh, well, congratulations. Yeah, whatever we can do to help. I would say reach out to your local senators if you're having some issues, particularly as a small business owner, right? 98% of the businesses here in the territory are small. Reach out to your local representative and chat with them about some of your frustration or some of the things that you've come across.
All right, and then going back to the money, when will you know when the money's available to be sent out?
As soon as I know, we will post it on social media, and hopefully we'll have a timeline for that disbursement. So
okay, we're just trying to time everything during the slow season. Yeah.
Sure, no, I get it. I totally understand, and I know the season's going to pick up later this month. Yeah, follow us on Facebook is usually where we're able to post it up pretty quickly. And we do it on Twitter too. We tweet it, but Facebook usually the fastest way that we're able to communicate things on a mass distribution.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. Good day, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next question. Are there any ecotourism grants out there for new development?
So the SBDC's forte is not grants. This is the one particular instance in which we are. I would say the best thing to do for a federal grant, go to grants.gov and search eco-friendly or ecotourism or eco grants and see what's out there. If you identify something and you want to submit an application, that's where the SBDC can come in and kind of help strengthen your application, help you get the documents or understand the grant application. We have a fantastic contractor working with us that has done a lot of grants for nonprofits here in the territory. And we can definitely invoke her assistance to help you at no charge, once again, because she is affiliated with SBDC.
Okay. I would like to have a one-on-one regarding my application. I previously sent emails requesting info on how to go about doing so. I would like to do so before your staff gets inundated.
Sure. So once again, I would actually say call our office. If you're on St. Croix, call 692-4294. If you're on St. Thomas, St. John, 693-1694. Leave a message, speak to somebody. Don't leave a voicemail. Speak to somebody and leave your message, your name, your contact information, and the name of your business, and we will call you back. Okay.
Okay. What are we supposed to write up a year from now about the use of the grant, and will we receive an email reminder?
I can't promise an email reminder, but like I mentioned earlier, we don't have specific requirements from the governor's office yet. But as soon as we get those and what they're looking to hear a year from now, we'll make sure to notify all the winners and those through. Well, now we have everybody who's won. We have almost everybody's email. There's still a couple businesses out there who don't have email, but we have everyone's contact information. We'll make sure that we push that information out.
Okay. Can we start to spend the money before we actually receive the funds?
That's up to you. For me, if I was a small business owner, I would wait until I have that. Well, not even until I have that check. Until that check's deposited and cleared in my account, that's when I would start spending those funds. But and that's what I would advise any small business owner, because unfortunately, we can have a hurricane tomorrow, and this will bump everything 6 months from now, right? So I would wait till you actually have that money cleared in your account, ready to be used.
Is there a second wave of this type of grant?
At this point, no. This is the one-time thing that was brought up, and once again, I mean, this was a fantastic opportunity, an historic event that's never been done, and I don't know what the future will hold. But at this time, I don't believe there's anything planned for it. So.
Okay. We have another question from Christian.
Yes, sir, Mr. Christian.
Hear me?
Barely hear you.
Hold on a second. I think my headset's screwed here. How about now? Any better?
That's better. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Hey, for the applications that were turned in, was there anybody or any entity that fully qualified to the process who was not able to receive an award because the funding ran out?
No, that's not the case.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I will say this, so that's a great point, Mr. Christian. Somewhere over the last few weeks, I think the consortium or one of the Daily News, or maybe both of them, reported that the governor had mentioned there was $1 million for this particular grant. We were never in conversation with the governor's office that there was a cap of $1 million. That never came into effect. We had a cap that we knew of, and we were giving away as much grants up to that particular cap, but it was never 1 million. It was the total amount that has been given out or that will be awarded, which was 3.9 something million. So good, great question. Mary Jo, I believe we have another couple of hands up.
Yes, Miss Trista Sigler. Trista Sigler.
Ms. Sigler, please unmute yourself. All right, we'll come back to Ms. Sigler. Any other questions in the chat?
Good morning.
Oh, there she is. Good morning, Ms. Sigler.
Good morning. Thank you. I was a recipient of some of the grant money, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Oh,
I have
congratulations.
questions about, you know, when I submitted the application, I had proposed for certain things, and since then I've changed my strategy and I've kind of evolved my plan a little bit. So in saying that, is that okay that I'm changing kind of how I'm going to use the money, as long as I have my receipts and I can explain that it also was for growth and other opportunities?
Yeah, so you know, I think that's going to be dependent on your particular business situation. Obviously, things change, right? We didn't anticipate a lot of things that are happening, and I think that's just a normal process of it. If I was advising a small business, I would say if your plans have changed, so long as you use that money in a way that is innovative and it's going to allow you to grow and build sustainability and resiliency, please document it so that a year from now, if you're asked for that information, you can show that, you know, yes, originally I was going to use the money to, you know, purchase, tables, iPads for my customers at the table so they could submit their order to the chef. But instead, we were able to, you know, purchase an electric vehicle. So now we make deliveries, and that's helped expand our business. So I would say that that's a normal process, but just don't turn around and use the money to pay off inventory or to pay debt, because that's not what the money was intended for.
Right.
Ted, I would just cautious that applicant to, prior to doing that, to submit something outlining the plan of how they plan to use the money, because it is, the money's were awarded based on your original application.
Yes.
And if your plan is somewhat deviated from that, then it could put you in a position where if it's not utilized in a similar processes, you may have to pay it back. And again, it is grant monies, and we don't want anyone who are awarded to have to pay it back because it wasn't utilized in the manner that we felt it should be used based on your grant application.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sana Joseph Smith from the Office of the Governor, and I wanted to make sure that that point is clear. It is important. These are federal funds, not local funds. And if these funds are used in any way that you have not, has not been approved, you will owe the federal government. This is not local funds. This is not about the government of the Virgin Islands or any governor that's in office. The federal government will then proceed to contact you to get the money back to them. So I just want to make sure that that is clear, that we are just following guidelines established to be able to execute the program. And so any changes would need to be approved.
Oh, okay, so I would like to submit a letter that explains what my changes are. Would I submit that to you, Ms. Jones?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, Ms. Sigler. Yeah, go ahead and contact Ms. Jones via email or telephone. She's on St. Croix, and you can kind of work that out with her. But thank you, Ms. Joseph, for chiming in. I didn't realize that you were on the call. So yes, obviously the funds are meant specifically for your particular application. Ted's repair shop, let's say I get this $25,000 for my computer software so I can diagnose newer cars, and I turn around and I reinforce my roof. Chances are that there's going to be some issues with that, and the last thing I want to do is put my business in jeopardy. So thank you, Ms. Santa Joseph, for that point.
Okay, and I have one more question. Ted, you had advised against spending before disbursement, but for a lot of us, we're getting ready and preparing for season, and so I'm already having to go ahead and make some purchases and get some things kind of in the works right now. Will receipts be accepted for money that is spent now? or is it from disbursement, or is it from when you were awarded the money that your receipts are accountable?
Well, you want to retain all your receipts anyway for your records, so that in case a year from now, like I said, there has to show something that you utilize the monies for what your specific project was. You're going to want to have those receipts. So keep those receipts regardless, whether you use your own money now or once you get the disbursement, keep those receipts. That just goes back to number one, being a responsible business owner. And number two, making sure that you're preparing your business so that there's not any type of future penalties or future jeopardy for your business.
Right, but will the receipts count if it's before the date of my disbursement?
So once again, I would make sure that I'm not can't answer that specifically because it doesn't really, the receipts aren't going to count towards the disbursement. They're really kind of two separate things. But if you're going to spend the money on your innovative idea now, prior to receiving your disbursement, yes, hold on to the receipts. If you're going to spend the money after you receive your disbursements, yes, hold on to the receipts.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. And congratulations again. Mary Jo, do we have any more questions in the comments?
We have a question. Could you share the accurate Facebook page for your office?
Sure. VISBDC. Just Google that on your own Facebook page, but it's facebook.com/VISBDC. And that's our acronym across the whole board. Hold on, let me see. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to share my screen. You guys see that?
Yep.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have a TikTok, nor will we have a TikTok. I promise you that. Apple and Android app.
Okay. There's a comment in reference to the approach for the budget. You want to look at that?
If it's not a question, you know, yeah.
Ted, I can jump in and answer that in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
The concern was about the contact and the grant requirement. We do have a point of contact for the grant, and that is at SBDC between Mr. Gutierrez and Ms. Jones. They are the point of contact for the grant, and they are in direct contact with the requirements for it, which is why those that were approved, those items are already approved. And that's why we advise any changes would need to go back to Ms. Jones to review, because we've already checked to make sure that your items have been approved. And so we are following the protocol for that.
Okay. All right.
Give me a thumbs up if you found our Facebook page on your profile. All right.
The last question I have is a repeat of a previous question. Is there a second wave of this type of grant?
No. Or not at this time, to be more nice. Not at this time. Chances are, I mean, like I said, in the history of small business here in the Virgin Islands, there's never been this before. So I don't know when the next one will be. So.
And to add, again, 5 seconds to that from Government House, the governor, we are in conversation about ways that we can support the small business community. But if I'm frank, the feedback from those, there are always opportunities to do something better. So I definitely think that everyone involved in this project accepts the opportunities to do things better. But the general, some of the feedback we got was that if someone doesn't get the award, then there's still this uproar. And so we have to figure out, how do we support our business owners, and how do we continue to make sure that they see that it's equitable, without this being, used for political banter or or anything other than that, because as business owners, I don't have to tell you guys how difficult it is. And so we are exploring, what are the best ways to be able to support the small business owners, but everyone can't get everything and everything isn't for everyone. So we got to figure out how do we straddle that line. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Ms. Joseph Smith. Like I mentioned before, SBDC has applied for several federal grants in the past, and we simply did not receive them for whatever reason. And so anytime there's some sort of money available, not everybody is going to have the opportunity. Our goal here at the SBDC with this grant was to select the most innovative ideas, whether they all came from St. John, all came from St. Thomas, or all came from St. Croix. It did not matter. We just looked overall at the most innovative ideas. And then at that point, we were able to kind of break them down per island. And we were pleasantly surprised how equitable it was spread across the 3 islands. So I'm very proud of the work that the committee did. And as I mentioned in a previous webinar, is each application was painstakingly discussed by the committee, and it took a lot of time. So my appreciation goes to those committee members out there for helping get through this historic process.
One last question. In your example of Ted's Garage, how do we know what section of our application was approved, tools or software?
Oh, that's a great question. So to alleviate the capacity issues that we have at the SBD with a small group, I would encourage those business owners who did receive the grant, reach out to us and we can specifically give you the full kind of explanation of how your grant was awarded. So in this case, Ted's Garage, I would probably contact, if I were on St. Croix, I'd contact the St. Croix office, say, hey, can you meet with me to go over specifically, once again, how to use my grant? And that goes back to a question that was asked earlier about, are we going to provide a technical assistance? I believe Ms. Francis asked that for the awardees. Yeah, absolutely. Contact us. Don't wait for us to contact you, because once again, there's 7 of us and there are over 330 recipients. So once again, there at this point, all decisions are final. There's no appeal. We can go over the grant with you one-on-one, make an appointment, and come and see us, because it's difficult to explain some of the reasons why folks didn't get the grant over the phone, whereas I can pull up an application and say, look, this is where you missed out, or this is whatever. It's a lot easier to do it in person. So please reach out to the SBDC, make an appointment to come in, and we'll be happy to discuss your grant with you.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending. I'd like to tell you about a couple of upcoming webinars that we have on tonight. Small business, oh, that's today. We're doing that right now. On October the 11th, SCORE, Turning Mad into Glad, Improving Service, Handling Complaints. October the 14th, New and Existing Businesses, How to Navigate DLCA.vi.gov. And most importantly, October the 17th, What is the PTAC? The newest resource for business owners in the Virgin Islands. What is the PTAC? Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So we look forward to seeing you guys at these upcoming webinars. Please sign up, download the app, and you can sign up for our webinars directly from the app. We have the app for Apple, we have the Apple for Android, and sign up for our newsletter so that you can keep abreast of all the upcoming information that might be of assistance for business owners. And with that, we want to say thank you very much for joining us, and have a great day.
Mary Jo, before we depart, please, I encourage you, if you talk with other business owners in the area, or in the territory, who did not receive the grant, please extend some of this information to them. Like I said, I know 2/3 of the businesses didn't receive the grant, but please share some of the information that you learned today, because I think that'll help quell a lot of the rumors and some of the things that are going on in the territory. And just be supportive of each other. We're in this together, right? #VI Strong, right? So Once again, thank you all. You can find this recording on our YouTube page. I believe it'll be up by tomorrow. So have a fantastic afternoon and make it a great day. Thank you.